spent the morning trying to figure out what it was.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And it was a combination of going bad cable and also gain and there's some other thing that I had to change.
You know, I wonder if you feel this way as an like acoustic music, acoustic instrument musician kind of person. You know, it's so fun to record stuff, but don't you sometimes just wish you didn't have to worry about it, like all that kind of stuff? You know, gosh darn it, like.
Yeah,
the old
There's
days of the
so many
let's
things.
just go to a big echoey dance hall and I'll play live, okay? No more pickups, no more amps, no
no feedback.
Yeah.
No feedback.
Right. Oh man.
Yeah. No, I definitely feel that.
Yeah. And I like picturing you in that kind of situation because I've never been to Cape Breton myself, but when I hear people talk about Cape Breton, especially the music there, it's often like, I don't know, that like painted with this certain sort of nostalgia. Though it's a thing that still happens, as from what I gather of for like the dance nights in the big halls and stuff like that. I get the impression that that's a big deal over there.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. Although after Celtic Colors, it all kind of just shuts down.
Oh yeah,
just because like all the tourists leave and people move away for the winter. So, like in Mabou, there's the Red Shoe Pub, which is like one of the things Cape Breton is known for, and I think it's the weekend that ends Celtic Colors that shuts down for the season and that opens back. Like,
it completely closes, huh?
Yeah. And that is the only restaurant in town.
So it's kind of rough to stay there thereafter.
I mean, you can find stuff to do, but it's like there's definitely, especially during the winter, there's just not much. And there's a couple restaurants like over in Inverness, but it's 20 minutes away, and besides that, everything's 45 to an hour.
That's interesting. It's something that I'm sure happens everywhere, but I've actually, now that you mention it, I think I've only seen it in like real estate listings for the east coast of northern United States and Canada, homes that are listed as like 9-month homes. Is that
like 3 seasons?
Yeah, totally. Is that entirely down to how cold it gets, or is it more like, well, the place empties out anyway? So is it foot traffic, or is it weather, or is it just kind of a combination of both?
I think it's probably some of both.
Yeah.
Usually, from what I've heard, those homes aren't super well insulated.
Yeah.
So like maybe they'll have a wood stove for the fall just to keep it a little bit warmer, but usually it's
not going to be comfortable in the winter.
Yeah, not going to be nice in the winter.
I got
Certainly gets cold enough.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe tell me a little bit about yourself then, Owen, like, because you spend a lot of time in Cape Breton. I understand that you're from Maine, Vermont. What do you call home these days?
I grew up in Maine.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely still where I call home. I'm actually heading down there right after this, taking the trip down. But yeah, no, I would say I spend about half my time in Maine and half my time up here in Cape Breton.
Yeah,
for school.
That's right. Tell me about school. Yeah. What other than is it all Gaelic all the time? Or what kind of stuff are you studying?
So it's a Celtic Studies program. It's also like a Bachelor of Arts program, and I'm in my second year. The first year was a lot of like Gaelic history and culture. Some Gaelic folklore thrown in there and literature, also learning Gaelic language the whole time. So I finished up that year, and this year it's more classes that have to do with like the BA part of it. So I'm taking a community studies class. And in the first quarter, I took like a Gaelic language revitalization class, which was quite interesting. Just learning how all the different programs work to help revitalize the language.
Is a class like that, is most of what you focus on programs that have been put into practice already, or is a lot of it like, and here's what you can do as you go out with what you've learned?
There was definitely some of both in that class. So like we studied, one of the languages that we studied was Irish Gaelic, because it really started to decline in like the late 1800s, early 1900s. And then a bunch of revitalization programs happened with like schools and creating more Irish medium schools in Ireland. So like just really like Irish immersion.
Mm.
And then also ways to include the parents was a big part of it, because then it wouldn't just be learning Irish in the schools, but then they would go home and also speak Irish to their parents.
Oh,
And that really helped with the revitalization.
interesting. So are the classes that are more BA focused for you now, are any of them offered in Gaelic entirely or partially?
No, none of them are.
Hmm.
The only class that's like mostly in Gaelic at this point is the Gaelic language class.
Yeah. So what has this look? I sure don't speak Gaelic. I don't know anything about Gaelic myself. But I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna absolutely embarrass myself by asking you a question that includes Gaelic words. Okay? Because there's this song that I really like that I've heard of a few times from different artists, and your name is Owen, and you do like live close to water. I'm assuming you're on boats sometimes. In fact, on your album, you've got a boat about or a song about being on a boat.
Yep.
There's a Gaelic song, and I think I think it's a I'm going to say this wrong too. Porchtabule. I think it's a Porchtabule song.
Yep.
And I think that it's pronounced something like Shallacooty Owen. It's a song about Owen's boat. It's just like the whole song is like, have you seen Owen's boat? Owen's boat. Owen's boat. Owen's got a boat. He's got a boat. And something like that. But it's really catchy. You ever hear that song?
I recognize the name. I can't think of how it goes.
Yeah. Well,
I think
good.
I've definitely heard it.
I'm glad you've heard it because it's like your song, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll have to learn it.
Yeah, you got to learn it. What about what about the effect of learning Gaelic on your music? Do you feel like there's you can see your music before you started learning it and after, or has it been a pretty like kind of smooth, slow infusing of your music with or maybe no effect at all? What do you think?
With Gaelic specifically, like the language, or just like the
well, I guess all the classes that
up
you've
here,
taken, language,
or
culture, etc. Has it shifted the way you play, or which tunes you choose to play, or what you're exposed to get ideas from?
it has definitely exposed me to different types of music and more of like the older Gaelic songs and Porchtabules. Many of the Porchtabules are played as tunes up here, which is a really cool thing. So like at sessions, you'll be going through a set of tunes and going to one of those, and sometimes somebody at the session who isn't playing will just start singing along with it.
That's pretty cool.
With the words, which is always a lot of fun. I don't think that the classes specifically have really changed how I play. Definitely being up here and around like the Cape Breton tradition and style, I notice when I go home that I don't sound the same as I did when I left.
Now,
which
are you talking
I
about
find really
talking
interesting.
or your music playing or both?
Actually, both.
Interesting. So is it kind of like your fiddle's picking up an accent just like you are?
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
And well, speaking of the music in Cape Breton, your album "Oh When Now," and I would love, if you're not tired of telling the story, I'd love to hear the little story about that title again. But it opens with your Cape Breton MSR. Now, I mean this in only a positive and praising kind of way, Owen. But if I think about like the first time that I heard the first 8 bars of that set, I would not have guessed I was listening to an MSR. And maybe that's my piping showing, because I expect a march to be kind of like, I don't know, military.
Yeah.
And this is so chill. I mean, I really love this track. Honestly, I feel like you have found, on purpose or otherwise, like the perfect opening for an album. It's like do like that's such a good way to just like dive into an album. So I love it. But that march feels so like a chill walk along the beach to me. Was that on purpose? Is that just the way you always play? Like any story behind that at all?
That's actually a really great question. I definitely hear what you're saying with the, like it doesn't, like when I think of a march, especially played on the pipes, it's like really, it sounds like it's being played in like a royal court or some place like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it doesn't quite have that same feel. I definitely play some marches with more of that like royal, really marchy military feel. But yeah, that isn't really one that I play with that feeling. I haven't ever really thought about that.
Well, I hope I haven't like messed you up where like next time you'll be in your head about it and be like, now wait a minute, how do I play this?
How do I actually play this?
Right. Because I really like the way you play it. It's so groovy. Really like that one a lot. And I mean the other tunes in the set as well, but like what a strong opener. I just love that.
I almost feel like I kind of play it more like just a slow strathspey in a way.
Yeah, I see what you mean there. Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I like it. I like how you're doing it. Keep doing it, please. And you know, that's interesting that you say that it's kind of like a slow strathspey, because I do feel like that transition into the strathspey of that MSR is so smooth. And so it almost feels, and I feel like even that, I don't mean to overanalyze your work and make you think about it in the wrong way, Owen. I like it so much. But like, because the march and strathspey are so smoothly blended together, when you take off in the reel, it's like really noticeable. And I just made a joke there. Really noticeable. But it really, really is. That's excellent. That's a strong set. Did you put that set together, or was that something you'd played with a group before, or something from a teacher?
No, I think I put it together when I was coming up to Cape Breton one of the times before recording the album, and just like trying to think of a good set for a session.
Well, you thought of a good one. if I'm not that I'm the one to judge, but good one, dude. Good set. Now, your bio online says that you're rooted in the Maine maritime musical tradition. Personally, I love alliteration anywhere I encounter it. Also, I live in a landlocked high mountain desert. I don't have a lot of personal direct reference for like maritime stuff. And so I see words like that and I think like the Wellerman, you know, I think sea shanties. Yep. Am I far off the mark when I think that? What am I missing in terms of the Maine maritime musical tradition?
The way that I like categorize the Maine maritime tradition is like Maine and a little bit up into New Brunswick and a little bit into Nova Scotia. It's like all those types of areas. And in Maine, there is definitely like a strong sea shanty work song tradition. just with like all the fishing boats and the history of sailing, which is quite cool. One of the picture on the CD of my album is it's me on this pier at this camp that is all about rowing and sailing and singing work songs.
Oh, really? It's like a musical work, like music at work camp.
Yeah,
a work music camp?
You're on a remote island with these Bantry Bay gigs, which is a type of French boat from, I think it's like the 1600s.
Did you say Bantry Bay?
Yeah, Bantry Bay gigs.
It's so fun to me, Owen, when I encounter like those are sounds that I've heard before. I think in maybe a Dubliners song, or maybe the Chieftains. Like I know I've heard things like that, but I don't know what they are. You know,
yeah,
they're buried in my head somewhere, as you say, and I go, "Oh, I know that," but no, I don't. I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, no, it's a really fun camp. It's a bunch of like the main musicians who do it, and then also just like people from the community. And yeah, I don't know, it's one of my favorite times of the year for sure.
Have you been going like since you were a kid, like this is the annual tradition for the whole family kind of thing?
I think I've done it 5 times.
That's awesome.
At this point, 4 or 5 times.
Are you an instructor there by now, or is it for participation every time?
No, just for participation. It's like the instructors aren't so much for music; they're more for the rowing.
Oh, I gotcha. I gotcha.
Yeah. So, I still have plenty to learn about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So you could spend more time in boats still, huh?
Oh yeah.
And speaking of which, like it's almost like I had a plan for transitioning us into talking about another track there. Track number 9 on your album is called "Sitting on the Stern of a Boat." Was this one an original, or is this a traditional tune? Tell me about this track here.
It's a old Scottish slow air. It's about Reverend MacLeod. He was leaving Scotland. I'm trying to remember why. I feel like he might have been banished. Don't quote me on that. But it really evokes a sorrow of leaving his homeland, and it's like he wrote it as he was seeing the cliffs of Skye fade into the mist. So when I was learning it and like coming up with the arrangement of how I play it, I was trying to think of like, how would I feel if I was leaving the place I've always called home and just seeing it fade. Being like, well, never going back.
I mean, you do some traveling, of course, yourself, but you always have the idea that you'll be able to go back. I guess that's a pretty different experience when you're never going to go back.
Yeah.
Do you happen to have ever found yourself in a boat leaving the island of Skye and watching the cliffs disappear?
I wish.
Yeah, maybe someday, huh? You spend some time over there, right?
That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've been over to Scotland a couple times.
Well, you'll have a tune for the occasion if you ever get the chance.
Yeah. I'm game to go to Skye this next April.
Oh, are you?
On a trip for the first time. So
I'm
really excited about that.
Are you the kind of fiddler who's always packing his fiddle with him? It's like you'll never be found without it.
Yep.
That's so beautiful.
Yep. It goes everywhere with me.
Could you tell me a little bit about your instrument? I think anybody listening is going to enjoy hearing you nerd out a little bit about your equipment, you know? Like when did you get it? Who made it? Where did it come from? Any unique scars on it? You know, that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So I got my current fiddle. When was it? Was it 2 years ago? Not last February, but the February before. I got it down in Boston at Carriage House. Went down there looking for a fiddle, and I was trying out maybe 10 or 15 different ones in the price range that I was thinking of. I was like, none of these are quite what I'm looking for. And then the guy brings out this one and another one, and I try this one. I'm like, yep, nope, that's the one.
That's like Harry Potter picking a wand, like
yeah.
Ollivander coming out of the back. The fiddle chose you.
It was so much fun trying out all the fiddles. It's definitely one of my favorite things to do.
I'm so happy for you that you found like the obvious perfect fit, that you didn't have to come away having picked one and like have like this like regret or wondering like, oh, but what about that other one? That other one seems so good. Yeah. I'm like vicariously relieved for you that you found the perfect one.
Yeah, no, I love it. It does everything that I want it to do, and it feels like it wants to be played. It's so easy to play.
And so you're the first player on that fiddle, so you're getting to put all the nicks and dents in it yourself?
No, it's actually a Roth fiddle from 1936. Yeah, 1936.
That's pretty cool.
So it's a German fiddle.
Does it give you any stress to be packing around an instrument that has a little history behind it, or you just try to not think about it, or what do you think?
It did at first.
Yeah.
And now at this point, I kind of think of it as it's a nice fiddle. It should be played. It shouldn't just sit there. So, I mean, I'll take care of it as best as I possibly can.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's going to get a scratch here, a scratch there. I actually had over the summer, I had quite a big scare with it. I was at a music camp, Acadia Trad up in Bar Harbor. And I was in one of the morning classes, and, you know, every once in a while, maybe once or twice a week, I just take a look over at my fiddle, check the fingerboard, make sure it's on there well, check the bridge, make sure it's straight.
Yeah, seems wise.
And I'm looking under my tailpiece, and I see this little line under it, and I'm like, oh, that's weird. Is that just like rosin or something? So I slide my finger across it, and it's a bump.
Oh no.
And I'm like, okay, that's not good.
That's not supposed to be
Luckily,
there, right?
There was a luthier in residence, so I take it to him after the class, and he's like, yeah, no, that is a 2-inch long crack on the faceplate. So I'm like, okay, should I keep playing it? Can you fix it?
Yeah.
And he's like, definitely don't keep playing it. I'll fix it. So he had to take the whole fiddle apart, take the faceplate off, and he put like some type of brace something in it so it'll stay well. And also just fixed up a few other little dings in it.
But did they have a loaner for you or something? I mean, to be without your fiddle at the camp, that's gotta be rough. Yeah,
no, he had one that I could borrow.
I'd imagine that's really still
helpful.
not like ideal. You wanna be with your instrument, of course, but
yeah.
So is there now a thing like inside of the fiddle that's holding it together?
Yeah, so we took it off, put some glue on it, and it's like 2 little tiny pieces of wood that go perpendicular to the crack.
Oh, I see.
Just to like hold it together. Yeah, and there was another really tiny crack on the F hole that he also fixed up.
So little spa day for the fiddle after all. Anyway, then, huh?
Yep, yeah, pretty much.
I've heard people say before that like it comes up a lot when you're buying like an expensive tool. You know, this like little like saged wisdom thing that's like scratch it. Like when you buy something new, give it a little scratch first, because then you will stop stressing about babying it and you'll actually use it. You know.
Yeah.
So I wonder if having the scare maybe has the positive effect of like some sort of increased confidence going forward or something that like it can be fixed. If there's a problem, we can fix it.
Yeah. No, I think it definitely did a little bit. Maybe a little bit less concerned. And also, he moved around the sound post in it, which made it sound even better.
Oh,
so
that's exciting.
I'm quite happy about that.
Is
Just a little bit brighter.
Forgive my fiddle ignorance, is the sound post, that's not the like bridge part that the strings are going over, right? What's the sound post?
The sound post is this little cylindrical piece inside of the fiddle. That's, so if you're looking at the fiddle with like the scroll up towards the sky, it's to the right of the bridge.
Oh, I would have imagined something like
like
this being central, so it's off to the side there.
Yeah, just a little bit off center. And from my understanding, it gives support to the faceplate because there's so much pressure from the strings. I think it's like close to 30 pounds of pressure pushing down.
Oh, I guess
I want to say it's like 27.
Yeah.
And it also just like makes it like reverberate more.
I see.
I don't know for sure. But
there's no shame in that, man. You know, some people are masters of the making and the maintaining and the fixing of instruments, and some of them don't actually play that much. And some people are real masters of play. You obviously are. And some of them prefer to hand their instrument to a professional to be taken care of, and that's okay. You know, there's no shame in that at all. But actually, speaking of instruments, you're not only on the fiddle. I've seen you playing tenor banjo. I've seen you playing. What else did I see you playing? I know I've seen you singing. Mandolin. Yep. Saw you playing some mandolin.
A little bit of mandolin. Yeah, I've been starting to get into that.
Are you so comfortable on the fiddle that it's not a big deal? Or like, because I'm imagining, I've never played anything that didn't at least have some frets. Most of what I play has like pretty obvious buttons and holes. So it's like really easy to put your finger in the right place. Is it a relief to play a fretted instrument, or are you like so comfortable with the fretless situation that it's not really that big a deal anymore? Because I was imagining it would be a relief to go from fiddle to something that has frets, you know?
The frets definitely, I like them. I definitely like the frets.
Yeah.
It makes it a lot easier, especially with the banjo, just because it's such big spaces in between the frets. Although on the fiddle, like, I don't really think about where I'm putting my fingers anymore. They kind of just go there.
That's beautiful.
I'm more thinking about like where I want the tune to go, or what ornaments I'm going to do, or dynamics or stuff like that.
That's so cool, Owen. That's so cool.
Yeah, it makes it a lot of fun.
What a beautiful thing. I love coming across people like yourself who are so just that closely connected to the instrument that they play. That is so cool. But when playing these other instruments, have you found that useful for picking up tunes that you can? Because I mean, tunes often move across instruments anyway, of course. But I feel like there's often going to be like some tunes that are just like really comfortable on a specific instrument. You hear it on that instrument a lot. So have you found any tunes that you wouldn't have found if you hadn't been playing these other instruments that you can then bring to the fiddle and see if you can interpret them on fiddle instead, kind of thing?
I can't say that I have, just because both the mandolin and the tenor banjo, they're tuned the same as the fiddle.
Oh yeah, that's true. Huh?
So like it's kind of just the same thing.
Fiddle on easy
with
mode,
a different
right?
sound. Yeah,
I'm just joking.
Except with a pick, which then
makes it hard mode.
If it was with a bow,
yeah, then
it'd be easier.
Yeah, I think.
But no, figuring out how to pick was definitely a struggle with the banjo.
Oh yeah. You know, my 7-year-old daughter was learning the ukulele a couple weeks ago, and I handed her a pick and said, because she was like, "How do I make it louder?" I was like, "Well, try this." And she tried to pick for about 2 minutes, and she's like, "No, I'll just play with my fingers." I was like, "I understand." Yeah. She had the universal experience with the first time with the pick there.
Yeah.
But I think that was probably partly on my mind, though, Owen, because I just barely this morning, and this is my fault for being behind, came across a video of you playing your Press for Time set, which is... It's such a cool set, man.
Was that the one with Ben?
Yeah, with Ben on guitar.
Yeah.
There was a boat behind you. I'm not sure what the event was, but there was a cool model boat behind you.
That was actually the tail end of Atlantic Challenge, which is that rowing sailing camp. This year was the competition year, so I was out there for 3 weeks, 2 weeks of training, and then a week of competing with, I think it's 5 other teams from around the world. There was a team from Ireland, team from Belgium, Denmark, Quebec.
But
mixed international team.
Is the competing like a race in like a boat race?
Yeah. Yeah. There's a bunch of different types of races. So there's just like a straight up rowing 2-mile race that's just going as hard as you possibly can. There's one that's 2 sailing legs and a rowing leg. It's set up as a triangle. So you row upwind and then sail downwind for the 2 sailing legs.
Oh, I see.
There's a passage race where it's just a really long, drawn-out race that's usually split between rowing and sailing, but we had no wind that day, so we just rowed. I think it just
became a really long rowing day. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was a long morning.
I bet.
Long, really rainy, cold morning.
Oh man.
But the show that Ben and I played, there was music every night throughout that competition week in Belfast, Maine. And we got the Saturday slot. We also used it as our audition video for NERFA, which is it's a showcase in New England, where you send in an audition video. They pick, I think it's right around 20 people. And then you have these showcases. This year it's in Portland, Maine. So actually that's this next weekend. So I'm heading down.
Oh, so that got you in, and that's yet to come, huh?
Yep.
Oh, that's cool. So, well, I'm not surprised it got you in. That was a great performance of an excellent set. But so my background musically is a lot of piping, which I think that's partly like I've got like blinders on kind of for like piping specifically. And I think like I got to acknowledge, like, of course everybody knows about Gordon Duncan. Gordon Duncan's an amazing musician, period, you know. But sometimes it does feel a little bit like the rare, it feels rare. It feels like a special thing when I see, because I've put so much energy into trying to get fiddle tunes to like fold the melody in so it'll fit on pipes, you know. So then to hear a pipe tune on the fiddle is just like an exciting novelty for me, you know.
Yeah.
How did you come across that one?
That's a great question. I've been playing it for, I want to say, 4, 5, 6 years now. That tune. Probably a recording. Yeah. Maybe the Wee Banjo 3 recording.
Oh, I see.
Possibly. That might have been one of the first times I heard it. Yeah, I don't really remember where I first learned it.
I mean, it's a great tune, obviously, but like it's fun that like if I'm not mistaken, the first time Gordon Duncan like put it out there in the world, it was the practice chanter track that he did on I forget if it was just for Seamus or which album it was on. But, you know, practice chanters, they're practice chanters, you know, like not a lot of us treat them as instruments. And so then to just like to have that like permeating and, you know, memifying its way throughout different communities over the course of years, and then to see it bubble up here with, you know, you and Ben, it's just fun. Cool.
Yeah. No, it's great too. I love that set.
Yeah, really good set.
I've been playing that set for a while.
I can tell you play it for a while. Friends, thanks so much for tuning in to this episode, and thanks very much to Owen for doing the interview. We actually did this interview quite a while ago. This is another one where like Owen obviously is a fiddler, not necessarily a piper, but I figured there's enough crossover. This is piping adjacent sufficiently to be of interest to the Droning On audience. I hope it's enjoyable. I sure like Owen's music, and I really enjoyed chatting with him. Actually, Owen did 2 interviews with me. The first one, we had some technical difficulties and I lost the audio. So I gotta thank Owen for being so patient and willing to come back yet again. And now, where this is another interview that could be potentially put to use for another project in future. It's been a while since we did this one too. So just Owen's been a real saint throughout, aside from having awesome music. Anyway, I want to get out of the way here, so I just want to give away a copy of his album. So I got the Cthulhu Dice Tower here. We're going to see who gets a copy. And it's Andrew O'Sullivan, but Andrew, I'm almost positive, already owns this album because it was Andrew who suggested this album to me. So Andrew, I hope you won't mind. I'm going to take the liberty of rolling again. I hope you'll forgive me for that, Andrew. we're going to see if another supporter can win a copy of this album. And that is Bradley Kenna. So I'll reach out to Bradley, I'll reach out to you and get you a copy of the album. Let's get back to the interview. Check out the album, though. Links to Owen's website and the album and other projects he's working on are going to be in the show notes. So check it out. And if you're anywhere close by, see if you can catch Owen live, because the videos I've seen of Owen playing live are really something. Quite a musician. So anyway, thanks again.
From Gordon Duncan, and then the second one that's favorite is a Cape Breton tune from Jerry Holland. And the last one is I've heard that it's either a Scottish tune or a Donegal tune. I'm not exactly sure which one. I'm pretty sure it's Scottish. Yeah, but I learned that one a long time ago, and my first fiddle teacher, Ellen Goller, who lives in central Maine, just like half an hour away from my house, she came up with a bunch of variations for it, and then over the years I kind of molded them into what I wanted them to be, and that's what's on the album.
I see. And speaking of your enthusiasm for Scottish music, I did see that you were the 2022 New England Open Scottish Fiddle Champ. Congrats. That's pretty cool.
Thank you.
What got you initially excited and into Scottish music for your fiddle, and what keeps you interested?
It was also at Acadia Trad. It was the first time I went there it was either 2018 or 2019, and I went there just for a couple days. Had something midweek. I don't remember what it was. But Sean Healy was there, and I was just amazed by his playing as soon as I heard him. I heard him in a session playing bouzouki actually first.
Oh, I see.
And he's great at bouzouki. So much fun to play with. And then I heard him play the fiddle, and I was like, wow, I want to take lessons from this guy. So the next year, COVID hit. So I guess it was 2019. The next year, COVID hit, and they did a grant thing for some of the students, and I got one of them, and I chose to study with Sean. And now I've been taking lessons from him for 4-5 years.
Oh, and Sean, he plays on this
him.
album too, right?
Yep. Yeah, he plays on, I think it's track 4. Track 4.
Track 4. The Few Bob?
Yeah.
Is that right? What a great track. So was that was that a situation where you go to your teacher and say, hey, I'm making this album and I want you to join me on it. Here's the tune I want us to do. Or was it like he was like, hey, I hear you're making an album. You better give me a track. I can't imagine that would be the situation. But what was that like?
Definitely. No, I told him I was in the process of making an album, and he actually helped me come up with that set. And I think I learned all 3 of those tunes from him. Yeah.
That's cool.
And the second one, Ben Hope, is one of his originals. It's a Strasberg that he wrote about this mountain in Scotland
Mm.
that he saw, and just like the raggedness of it. It's a great tune. The A part is a double length, so it doesn't repeat, and it just like really, I don't know. I really like it.
What a special thing to just to have. Like, it's already special, but it will only, I'd imagine, only be more so as the years roll on, to have this like this like recorded moment in time of you and your teacher making some music together.
Yeah, that was part of where the name came from, actually, is thinking about the like, this is a moment of time, this is a snapshot. Because like it's spelled out Owen now, but another way you can think about it is Owen now.
Yeah.
So it's like a snapshot of
when did the album come out? Was it 2022? When did you put it out?
That's a great question.
I'm looking back at it right now. 23.
23.
So it was last year.
Yeah.
So like a year and a, as we record right now, like a year and a half has gone by. Do you feel like you already can look back at some of the stuff in this album and go, "Oh, that was Owen then"? Or
yes.
It really already, huh?
Yes.
How fun.
Yeah, because I recorded it. It took right about a year
I see.
from when it was recorded.
So some of this stuff is pushing 3 years that since you were putting it down, huh?
Yeah. So like since then, I've gotten a new fiddle. I've obviously learned a lot more about how to play in like different styles and techniques. But yeah, no, I feel like it's a pretty common thing for musicians to go back and listen to their album and be like, oh.
I hope you never feel bad about this album. It's a really good album.
I love it.
Yeah. But I'm also,
yeah, no,
I'll also
definitely
be excited about the next one. So but also sticking with the Scottish music, you also have a track 11 is an 18th century Scottish set. That's what it's titled there.
Yep. That's another one that Sean helped me come up with.
Are you particularly interested in Scottish music from a specific time period, or are you just generally interested in this happens to be a set from the 18th century?
I would say just generally interested. It is cool to look at the different, like how the tunes are made up from different time periods. These tunes specifically definitely sound like they're from that time period. They almost sound more Baroque in a way. Especially the first one, Lady Louisa Gordon. It has almost a classical sound.
Now, we kind of like looking at these sort of like different sort of genres and subgenres of how music comes out and how you're interpreting the music. Another thing I really don't have a lot of reference for, Owen, is music from Shetland. So you've got a track on here, track 5, that's called "Da Tunes from Shetland." I'm assuming that "da" is like the with an accent, or is it like D major A minor, and I'm not getting the joke?
No, it's a very Shetland thing to say. Yeah, it's instead of the, it's da. It's like the hoose instead of the house.
I see.
Is one that I really think of.
Do you feel like you can speak to what makes Shetland music?
I think I can give like a very shallow
Yeah, with
definitely
the
not in depth.
yeah, with definitely with like the disclaimer that you're not from there, you're not claiming to be a representative or anything like that. But I personally am saying I'm so ignorant, I really don't know anything about what makes it special. Please enlighten me. Just that.
Yeah. So I've been there twice now. I was there last August, in 23. The way that I would like classify it is it definitely has a lot of Scandinavian influence, as well as some Scottish influence, but like especially I kind of more associate it with Scandi music and like traditions and styles from over there, with a lot of the like open ringing strings and some of the ornaments. There's a really common tradition up there to play an open tuning, so instead of the regular standard tuning of G D A E, it's A E A E or some type of tuning related to that. So like in the recording I did F sharp, C sharp, F sharp, C sharp. Does that
tunings. Break your brain? Oh, and that sounds crazy to me. I can't imagine changing your whole instrument like that.
The getting used to playing an open tuning definitely took a little bit of time. But like changing from A E A E down to what I recorded the tune in, it's still the same fingering. Like I'm still playing it the same way. It's just lower, and I found that it gave the fiddle almost more of like a hardanger fiddle sound. And it just really rang nicely.
Yeah, I guess that probably does go really well with like those open ringing strings that you were talking about, like that more kind of lower, more resonant kind of sound.
Yeah,
that makes sense. So the tunes themselves, though, like it's like this opaque set title there in the front. It's tunes from Shetland. Are these all tunes you picked up while you were there, or did you have to go searching through some books to find the right tunes to fit in the set? How did that all come together?
I heard the first tune and the last tune from Kevin Henderson, who is a Shetland fiddler, and then the two middle tunes, the Full Rigged Ship and the New Rigged Ship, are two tunes that are just, I don't know, they're commonly known, especially the Full Rigged Ship, which is a jig. But yeah, I think I learned those two from Ellen as well. And the jig, the Full Rigged Ship, in the Shetland tradition, there's a common, like, they have this thing called descriptive tunes. So they tell more of a story. I actually have two of those on the album. So this is one of them. It tells the story. It's more of like a free-form type of way of playing it.
Interesting.
So like in the A part, it's the ship leaving the harbor. And the B part, it's the bow of the ship crashing over the waves. And then in the C part, it's the wind coming up behind the ship and catching in the sails, which also then relates back to the whole Atlantic Challenge thing, being able to see that and really get the feel for that, because like you can see the ripples on the water from the wind come up behind the boat, and then you just see the big gust of wind catching the sails, and it's quite cool.
Do you feel like it's valuable then to have the experience that you have had, even at that camp you were talking about of being on the water and having the no wind day? So now you have like a personal experience with how nice it is when that you see that gust coming. Like I'd imagine, like you could describe that to me. I'd be like, oh, that's what this tune is describing. Great. But I'd imagine there's a way deeper kind of like visceral reaction or connection to it if you've actually like experienced that experience.
I definitely think that there is. And it just gives you more of an image of what it is.
So were these descriptive tunes that you're talking about from Shetland, are these often written with lyrics and then they also are played instrumentally, or is it like is the intention from the beginning usually I'm going to describe this using music?
As far as I know, it's just through music, not through lyrics.
Gotcha.
But
yeah, it is evocative. I mean, you know, the way you're describing it and the way you play it, it makes sense to me, that's for sure. Now, you've got yourself, Owen. You've got the title of the album, Owen. You've got another Owen Marshall, on guitar, bouzouki, and harmonium on the album.
Yeah,
it's almost a shame that you had Sean Healy on that other track and Noah Fishman too on bass, because you could have just made it like a criteria only Owens on this album and just gone hunting for more Owens, right?
Oh, that would be funny.
Maybe that'll be the next project, huh? All Owens all the time.
Gotta.
Yeah, but tell me about how did you? So I gather you know Sean via learning from Sean. What about Owen Marshall and what about Noah Fishman? How'd you come across these folks?
I think I first met both of them through Maine Fiddle Camp, which is it's a camp in Maine over in Montville. It's all ages. You go there, camp outside. Great food, great people, tunes all the time. Like you'll be walking through the camp and you'll hear a session here and a session there and 15 more sessions on top of that. It's just such a great environment and so full of learning. But yeah, I'd say that's where I first met them.
I'm getting the impression that a big part of your story is going to things and meeting people. Yeah. Going to different camps is definitely, I've learned so much from them and met so many amazing people and musicians and just had so many great experiences. I mean, of course, music is great on its own. Like, I love music. I'm not saying it's not good without dancers, but do you ever play for dancers? You've got a set on here of jigs on track 8 on here is just a collection of jigs. Curious, in your experience, what's awesome about playing for dancers, but also, I don't want to frame this the wrong way. I don't want to say what's hard about playing for dancers, but like, you know, is there a trade-off when there's not a dancer to worry about and you can just be a musician? You know what I mean? What's positive about each of these experiences?
I do really like playing for dancers, especially New England contra dances. I just find that like playing a show and having the audience there is great and getting the energy back from them. But I mean, you can't see them. You can kind of just only sometimes hear them.
Okay.
Whereas when you're...
Wait a minute. Are you saying you love playing for the dancers you can't see or hear?
No.
That's not fair of me, Owen. I'm just joking. I'm just ribbing you there.
No, but playing for New England contra dances and just dances in general, getting the energy back from them and having them like actually, not that audience members don't interact with the music, but seeing them interact with the music and hearing the hoots and hollers and claps and feet hitting the floor, it just gives a lot of ideas to me about like what I can do with the tunes to fit it better to the dance, and how I can, like, if there's a spot in the dance where they're always gonna stomp, what can I do to accent that spot to also give the music that type of sound?
Yeah.
And with I've played for a couple dances up here as well in Cape Breton, it's totally different. So like with the New England contra dances, we'll play maybe 1 to 3 tunes per dance. There's maybe, I want to say 6 to 8 dances for the night. Whereas up here, because the tradition is to only play tunes twice, you'll go through, each dance has 3 figures in the Cape Breton square dances. And the first one is jigs, second one's jigs, and the last one is reels.
I thought you were going to say jigs. Jigs. They only do jigs up here.
So for the first figure, you'll maybe go through 6 to 8 jigs, and then second figure you'll go through 8 to 10 jigs, and then in the third figure you'll go through 8 to 14 reels or so.
Holy moly!
And then you have to do that like 6 times. So you go through a couple hundred tunes in a night, which just boggles my mind.
Yeah.
I haven't played for a full dance, which I don't know that I could think of that many tunes.
Yeah, my goodness.
It's so many. And it just gives me even more respect for the musicians who play for the dances and just have all those tunes right at their fingertips.
Yeah, I mean, so this track 8 here that's got a collection of jigs in it, I guess having done that even a little bit, you had quite a few jigs to choose from, huh? To put these together.
Yep. No, I've definitely used that set a couple times for dances.
Yeah.
Then add a few more on there.
That's a great set, though. Have you had the experience with any of these dance genres of having played it for a while before you did it with a dancer or dancers, and then having like an epiphany moment, like, oh, that's why the timing is this way, or anything like that?
There's one tune in particular that makes me think of that. It's a Scottish tune played for a sword dance. It's called Gilly Callum.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And I mean, you play it slow for the dance, and then I think it's in the B part, like 2 times through. I don't know. I haven't done it for a while. But then it speeds up, and the dance speeds up, and it's just, I don't know. I never really understood why people played it that way until I played it for somebody doing the sword dance, which was really cool.
Yeah, that makes sense. I had an instructor once tell me that I was playing that the way I was playing a strathspey was just like dumb and impossible. And I was like, what do you like? Why? You know? And the answer was because no dancer could ever dance to that. And the truth is, I have never played a strathspey while someone danced a strathspey. So really, yeah, fair enough. I have no idea how the two things go together. So I can imagine that makes a difference sometimes. What about yourself, though? Do you ever dance?
I've danced at a bunch of the square dances up here. I definitely prefer to play over dance, although dancing, like doing the dance, does definitely help give like more understanding of what the dancers want. I've found, especially in the New England contra dance tradition, it's like, I don't know, like I have specific players that I really like hearing for dances, or that I like playing with for dances. One of which is Ben, who I'm doing the Nerfa thing with, just because we've been playing together for quite a long time at this point and can kind of predict when the other one is going to do something.
That's
so we can
cool.
Just, I don't know, it makes it really fun.
Speaking of playing with other people, you know, and like getting to know them and how they play and stuff like that, What is the? I'm looking through your website now. What was it? Sap tappers? No, that's not right. Tapline.
Sapline?
Sapline. That's the one.
Yep.
Was it with Sapline that you did a kind of Pete Sutherland memorial or commemoration event a little while ago? Or was that a different organization? What was up with the Pete Sutherland thing? Did you know Pete personally? I guess is what I was.
I did know Pete personally. Yep. He was definitely a big mentor for me. The first time I met him, I was over in Vermont at the Young Tradition Festival, which happens in May. And it's just like a bunch of different teachers with their students playing, and there's a contest. And at the end of the festival, the big Young Tradition Vermont touring group does a performance, which is usually about 20 or so youth that are just in a big band, rehearse once a month for, I think it's 6 months or so, and then do a tour at, like, usually in April. I think this past year it was in June, but I think they're doing a tour in April this next year in New England. So that should be fun. But I went there quite a few years ago and sat down, was watching it all, and Pete sat down right next to me. And he looked at me and then looked up at the stage and was like, "Do you want to do that? You should do that." And I was like, yeah, no, I definitely want to do that. And I mean, you can't say no to Pete. So
I'd imagine no.
Next year, every month, made a trip over to Vermont, and I was a part of that group for, I think I started in 2019.
So then is that group...
So 4 years.
Was it that group that did the Pete Sutherland thing then? And I'm thinking, and Tapline is something else entirely? Or Sapline, sorry. No, I'm gonna get it backwards every time now.
Yeah, so Sapline is a group of us who were we all met through the touring group.
I see. So it's like members of that crop of the touring group who kind of stuck together and made more music?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and the Pete Memorial, I want to say, I think all of us were there. We were originally part of this 5-piece band that was like a pull-out group from the touring group called the Young Tradition Youth Commission.
That's a cool name. I like that.
And I think it was the 5 of us who did a couple things for that memorial.
I never got to meet Pete personally myself, but sure have loved his music over the years. It was sad to hear when he passed, so I thought that was special. What you guys did seemed nice.
Yeah, that was definitely a really special day, and it was nice to see a bunch of people who he knew, and everybody just, it was a really special day.
Yeah. Now, gonna just take a complete left turn here and tell you there's another track I wanted to ask you about, and honestly I like it musically, but part of it is like I'm really curious about the title. It's fun to say. The Old Swara Joopy. You know the one I'm talking about?
Yep.
What the heck
track
is
6.
going on there? Tell me about that track, would you?
So that's actually the other Shetland descriptive too.
Oh, I should have known from the da at the beginning.
In the Shetland dialect, they have a bunch of words for, like, I don't know, words that I would use. It's like hoose instead of house. But the Old Swara Joopy means the old woolen coat, which was commonly worn by fishermen when they would go out to sea.
I'm just looking at the title right now and thinking like, okay, I see the relationship there. Old, yep, Old Lang Syne, and then Old Lang Syne kind of thing, okay, got it. And then Swara Joopy, that means woolen coat. Okay, I believe you.
Yeah. But it was, I don't remember who it was written by. I learned that one also from Ellen, who learned it from Tom Anderson, who was a really influential Shetland fiddler. And it tells the story of a fisherman going down with the ship.
Oh.
In the first part, it's him going out to sea. In the second part, it's the ship going down in the water, and in the third part, it's him ascending to heaven, I want to say.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, kind of sad, of course, but that's a cool frame for the story.
Yeah,
going out, going down, and going up.
Yep.
I do think it's fun that without before asking you these questions, without knowing that those were both from Shetland, like I mean I'm maybe like super duper drawn to drones because of my piping background, or whatever it is that made me drawn to bagpiping makes me drawn to drones anywhere, wherever I find them. But I had in my notes when preparing to talk to you, I had put track 6 and track 9 together with the question like, where are you getting all these cool drones from? Like, just really loving that drone sound. And I guess that's now that you've told me about it, I guess that's that Shetland idiomatic ringing strings kind of thing, huh?
Yep. On track 9, Staying on the Start of the Boat, it has the harmonium in it. And then,
there's more drones. Okay, gotcha. That makes sense.
I'm pretty sure for the Altswar Jupi, I just recorded it as solo fiddle.
I see. And so I was also mixing in then that track 5, the tunes from Shetland as well there then too. Well, speaking of my own being, this interview is about me, Owen, apparently, and my love of bagpipes. But I can't help the fact that like when I came across Boys of Malin, I was like, whoa, hey, where'd you come across that one initially? And I like your take on it. Was that all you? Did you have instructors who have influenced you on variations for that tune?
Yeah, so that one I learned quite a while ago. I learned it from Ellen Goller. Probably within the first couple of years I was learning fiddle tunes, which I started learning when I was 7. Started learning the fiddle. Started learning classical when I was 4 with the Suzuki method. But yeah, I think I learned it within those first couple of years. And the variations, Ellen she came up with them. And over the years, I took them and kind of changed them a little bit to what I wanted them to sound like.
Sure, as one does.
Yeah. just through the folk process and testing it out, messing it up, seeing what sounds good, seeing what doesn't.
You play it really well, and so it's a strong finisher for the album. I think it's kind of cool to hear you say that it was like an early tune for you, because it feels kind of like a beautiful thing of being like from the beginning to the end, kind of bookends on a period of your life in a way. That's me as a third party looking in, of course. You don't have to, that doesn't have to actually be the truth. That's just what I'm imagining. I'm making everything romantic and poetic because I can't help doing so. But it does make me curious about the overall configuration of this album. Like when you were deciding not just which tracks to make, but what order to put them in, was there an underlying like idea behind that, like a structure, like I want to start geographically in this place and go to that place? Or was it a timeline thing? Like first I learned this tune, then I learned that tune, so I'm going to do it backward. Or was it just what felt good? Tell me about how you put this album together.
I definitely knew that I wanted to end with the Press for Time set, because I've been playing that set for quite a few years at this point, and it's one of the ones that people expect to hear when they come and see one of my shows. So I pretty much always end the show with that set. So it just felt like a really nice thing to end the album with, it just to go back to that. And then for the rest of the order, I think it was pretty much just what felt good, what seemed to fit well. There was definitely like trying to keep some of the same styles together. So like with the Shetland tunes, those two are next to each other.
Oh, sure.
And then I've got a little slew of Scottish tunes near the end and some New England tunes mixed in there, split it up.
I feel like I would be remiss to not mention the New England tunes. I feel like I'm giving love to every other place that you play tunes from except New England. But does that feel to you? Is there any feeling of that being like those tunes are home because of geographically where you're pulling them from, or are you such a world traveler at this point musically that everything is your home?
I definitely feel when I'm playing New England tunes that like I'm just so comfortable with them. And especially the track that I put on there of them, I learned them, I think, exclusively at Maine Fiddle Camp. And I just really associate those tunes with that place and memories from there. Also, in the New England tradition, there's so many different styles that are pulled in from immigration. So like people coming from Ireland and Scotland, and then also up from Canada to come down and work in the logging camps. So there's like a strong Quebec and New Brunswick, and then the Cape Bretoners coming down to work in the Boston States. There's so many different styles. It's like a melting pot. And it just pulls from so many different areas and so many different traditions of tunes.
A melting pot, and you're like dipping your fiddle in it. Did you say you were 7 when you started learning that tune?
I think I was 8 or 9 when I started learning that tune.
But you said you were like 4 when you started playing the violin, right?
Yep.
Man,
yep,
that's
I was
young.
right about 4.
Do you even remember? Like, can you remember when you first started playing, or is that so far back that you're not you've never not played fiddle?
In my brain, I've never not played fiddle. It's just always been a part of my life.
That's amazing, Owen.
Which is it's such a great thing.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
I'm so lucky to be able to say that.
Well, then you can't remember when you started, so don't even worry about telling me when you started. But tell me your earliest memories. What are some of the earliest things you can remember about, I don't know, holding a bow or picking up a violin or going to a lesson? What's the earliest stuff you remember?
I remember the first fiddle show that I did, which was with the Pineland Fiddlers, which was Ellen Goller's youth fiddle group. And it was at this theater in Maine that unfortunately is no longer there. But it was this really beautiful theater up on top of a mountain called Sky Theater. And it was the first show that I did for fiddle tunes.
Were you kind of like I mean, I don't mean to disparage your young playing abilities. Of course, I'm sure it was impressive, but was it kind of like, and now we'll trot out this cute little kid who knows how to play the violin, kind of a, kind of palate cleanser between bigger sets kind of thing?
There was definitely some cuteness factor in
yeah.
I can guarantee that.
Yeah.
I do remember that for this show, one of the sets of reels was quite fast, and I was practicing it and just could not get it. And because of the Suzuki method, my mom was a big part of like my practicing in those probably first 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just sitting there like, I can't do it. And then my mom comes over. At this point, I'm crying, and it was just like this whole thing. Oh, I can't get these tunes fast enough. Can't quite get them. And she's like, you can do it. You'll get it. Just play it through a couple more times. And I did end up getting it, luckily. But
do you feel like by the day of, it was the kind of thing where like, well, 2 out of 5 times I play it comes out right. Let's cross our fingers.
Yep.
I got you.
Pretty much.
I hear you there.
Certainly been more than one time like that.
Yeah. That's fun though that performance has been such an early part of your life too. I mean, I'm not trying to be like, I'm not trying to say like, oh, it must be easy for you now, Owen, but I'm just saying like, do you feel like a lot of the performance jitters that a lot of people get, you're kind of years past them, like that's a thing of the past for you, or do you still get a little nervous?
That's something that I've always found interesting. I have almost never gotten nervous performing. It's actually one of my favorite places to be, is up on stage playing. There's been a couple times that I have gotten nervous. And then when I do, I'm like, what is this feeling?
Foreign experience.
I don't like it.
Do you know that that's how it is for most of us every time, Owen?
Yeah.
We live with that.
I don't envy you. Yeah, no, it's one of my happy places.
That's
for sure.
pretty cool.
And just being able to be up there and play tunes that I like and make people smile.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, I just love it, especially performing with people. I did solo shows for quite a long time, and now I've been doing quite a bit of duo shows, both with Ben and Benjamin Foss, and then also I've done some with Ethan Tischler recently. And yeah, I don't know, they're both so fun to play with, and also in bigger bands like Sapline, where it's 4 of us, and there's just so much energy, both coming from the audience and also us bouncing ideas off of each other while we're up there, and just, yeah, it just makes it so much fun.
Yeah. When you have felt nervous, has it been consistently the same kind of thing? Like, has it been because of new material they didn't feel ready for, or has it been because of the size of the crowd, or is there something common there that is the trigger?
There's definitely been a couple times when it's been material that I'm not super comfortable with. That I've been like, oh, I don't know how I feel about this. We'll see how it goes.
Another one of those roll the dice situations.
Yeah,
yeah,
basically. There is one time that really sticks out to me, though, of like when I felt nervous about going up on stage. I got the opportunity, I think it was 5 or 6 years ago at this point, 7 years ago, to play at a national conference for the Boys and Girls Club of America. It was over in San Diego, and they flew me out. There was a bunch of like rehearsals and all that type of stuff. I actually got stage fright twice during that trip. The first time I got to open up the conference playing Over the Rainbow, which I had worked on coming up with this really fancy arrangement of it that was like really high in positions. I don't know. It was cool. I worked on that with my classical teacher. But I got up on stage, and it was like the cameras with the 2 big screens on either side that are like of my face. And it's like 3,000 or 4,000 people out in the audience. And I was just like, oh, okay. So this is actually happening. That was definitely the time that really sticks out to me of stage fright.
Yeah.
And then the other time was of the board dinner, which was not a big crowd. It was just, I don't know. It was one of the first performances that my mom wasn't there. And I think that was part of it. And also just the people there were like, the CEO of Sony was there, which is insane to me.
So not a big
like,
deal, not a big crowd, but a big deal crowd.
Yeah, exactly.
I got you. Well, these are situations that I think would make anyone nervous, Owen. So I sure hope you don't feel bad about like only getting stage fright when you're in front of the CEO of Sony or in front of 4,000 people and cameras. But where did it go from your cute performance, as a little kid? Like, what was the trajectory from there? Was it like all performances all the time, or was that like a unique experience? And then, it wasn't until you were a late teenager that you started performing, or have you always been performing?
Through the classical program that I was in, the Suzuki program, and also the Pineland Fiddlers, I have been performing for quite a long time. Because like with the classical one, there would be a benefit concert every year and like a Christmas concert, and we'd go to different like retirement communities and stuff like that and do performances. So I think that probably helped with the stage fright, just like getting used to it at such a young age, being in front of people playing.
Yeah.
But doing like the solo shows and stuff like that, I think I really started doing that like right about 12 to 14, I want to say.
Was that kind of something that started getting set up by your instructors, or were your parents kind of functioning as your agents, finding you opportunities?
It was my mom.
Yeah.
Shout
out to mom.
I was homeschooled. Huh? Yeah, shout out to mom.
Hmm.
Big shout out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was lucky enough to be homeschooled, so I had a lot of time to practice and go places, and just a really flexible schedule for lessons and shows and rehearsals and all that type of stuff.
Well,
so I was really lucky.
I want to make a probably not appropriate and probably mean joke about like, well, hey, you seem really normal. Good for you, man. You're like, you did it. I wouldn't have known. You know what I mean? Not fair. I don't actually think that. I just think those jokes are funny. That's all.
They are funny.
But really, you're a very pleasant person. So if there was any truth to that, you're very you blend in socially just great. So don't worry about it.
Phew.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I started doing solo performances when I was like 12 or 14, doing whether it was shows that got set up or people that contacted me, or going to retirement communities that I'd gone to with these other groups and just doing like a solo show there.
Mm-hmm.
And then as time went on, the venues started getting bigger and getting more offers and stuff like that.
Until you flew all the way over to San Diego, you said it was, or San Francisco. I mean, that's a pretty big deal. Actually, to that
a good time.
And to like just looking back on the performances you've done so far, any that stand out as your absolute favorites, you'd love to relive that moment, and also any that stand out, maybe it's the one you already told us about, as the worst, that you hope you never are there again.
The San Diego one definitely stands out to me.
Yeah.
For good and bad reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, yeah, the stage fright was that. I vividly remember that. And also just being able to be up on stage in front of that many people was really cool. The one that you're talking about of me and Ben with at the Atlantic Challenge Week, that is, I think, one of my favorite shows I've ever done. I have to say, which is really interesting to me because the 2 weeks leading up, I didn't play much just because I was rowing so much and like I was tired. After rowing and sailing and not playing, my hands kind of just felt like claws. Like they just wanted to stay in like that grip.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Feeling instead of like moving around quickly to play. And Ben and I got together the day before the show and just played through everything. And that the recording at Press for Time is definitely my favorite one from a show that I've done.
I mean, that's really, I'll make sure that there's a link to the video of that in the show notes in case people want to enjoy it, because it's worth clicking that link for sure. Very enjoyable performance. I
think that was my favorite one.
So far.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not sure exactly when this episode will air, but in spite of that, what do you have coming up as of this moment?
I have a couple tours in the making with Sapline from the 31st, New Year's Eve, up to the 5th over in Vermont. I've got a show and a dance with Ben on the 15th of December in Montville, Maine. That's gonna be a good time. I'm really looking forward to that one. And then I am playing down at the Smithsonian Festival down in DC this summer, also with Sapline and a few other people.
That's cool.
I've got another tour in August getting set up with Sapline as well. So that's from August 10th to somewhere between the 14th and the 17th. And then just a bunch of shows throughout the summer, all of which, as of right now, are on my website.
That's a good point. I'll make sure we have a link to that website too, so that whenever this show airs, there will be up-to-date info there too. Or whenever somebody comes across it too.
Yeah, it's all on my events page
Awesome.
on the website.